joining. I just wanted to give a few quick reminders before we start. This will be recorded. This will be shared with you. You'll be getting an email with a link to the recording and also a link to the slides. Also, if you have any questions, there is a Q&A box. Just drop your questions there. And we will also be taking a Q&A at the end of the presentation. So thank you very much, and I will get started.
Hey everyone, thank you for joining Ansible Automates today. My name is John Mitchell and I'm a senior software engineer over here on the Red Hat Ansible team, and I work on building out a few of the different UIs for a few projects we have at Ansible. Specifically today, we're talking about Red Hat Insights for the Ansible Automation Platform. You may be familiar with this service. It used to be called Automation Analytics, and if you are, you won't see any real UX or experience changes with the new name. It's just a bit of a new look in how you get to it in the cloud.redhat.com console. And I'll show that at the end of this presentation so you can kind of see some of those changes. Many of you may already be familiar with Red Hat Insights, which was launched back in 2013. Over the years, we've been refining the Red Hat Insights products to really put the power of data to work for its users. Specifically, Red Hat Insights works with Red Hat Enterprise Linux 8.0 and above to allow RHEL users to proactively identify and remediate IT issues, ranging from things like security vulnerabilities or stability problems with packages. It's all done in an automated way without having to have users do a ton of manual intervention to fix these problems. A few weeks ago at Red Hat Summit in late April, we announced that we were expanding Red Hat Insights to two new platforms, OpenShift and the Ansible Automation Platform. The goal is that the observability tools you already saw with Automation Analytics will pair with Red Hat Insights, continuing to allow you to better understand your automation usage across multiple projects and teams. With all of the changes to the way business was done for all sorts of companies, 2020 was a really important year for automation. Teams of different sizes and all sorts of different industries started using automation for the first time in order to quickly pivot their businesses and reallocate the types of work and projects they were doing to what was most important. Automation technology has evolved significantly over the past few years to include domains of automation that were either not included or were super difficult to approach. And for those starting their automation journeys, everything out there can be pretty overwhelming, and it can be difficult to decide where to best put your efforts to make the most impact. It becomes important to observe, benchmark, and track your progress of these efforts to be able to make informed decisions. And so that's the whole goal of Insights for Ansible, is to help solve these challenges. As automation has grown, enterprises need a way to show success of those projects over time. It should be easy for those working with automation in different parts of the business to get a bird's eye view of their automation projects in one place, including information like what's working the right way, which teams are the most successful with their automation so they can share their best practices they've implemented, and how is automation benefiting the business as a whole. Insights for Ansible is a hosted service with the Ansible Automation Platform that's whole goal is to allow users to answer those questions with a low barrier to entry. With this tool, users at different levels of the business are able to dive in quickly and see varying metrics of automation success. So it makes sense to understand how the whole Ansible Automation Platform fits together. On the top left, we have a open source automation tooling section, which we put into a tested product ready for enterprise deployment. On the top right, in addition to those technologies, we deliver a set of hosted cloud services that allow you to expand automation further to different parts and personas within your business. So these services include Insights for Ansible, which is what we're talking about today, but they also include Automation Services Catalog and Automation Hub. Finally, The platform provides a robust set of certified content that spans a variety of different use cases and domains. The content has been pre-certified either by Red Hat or one of its partners, and the reason for that is to make sure you're getting the latest, greatest content that can be safely deployed in your own ecosystem. And at the base, it's all powered by Ansible, the open source project, which is one of the largest and most successful open source communities out there. So what can you get out of Insights for Ansible specifically? Our intent when we introduced this cloud service was to report, resolve, and recognize the value of automation. Many customers may struggle to plan, understand, and measure their automation initiatives across an enterprise, and that makes it difficult to capture wins and avoid costly mistakes. Insights for Ansible, which our customers access through cloud.redhat.com, helps customers understand the value of their automation through tangible business metrics and resolves issues that may arise with the Ansible automation platform more quickly. The functionality within Insights for Ansible helps our customers answer three basic questions. One is which teams are leveraging Ansible automation and are they successful? Two is how can I tell what's working and what's not? And three is how much progress have we made? How can Red Hat help us evolve? I'm going to talk about some of the different tools that Insights for Ansible gives us to answer these three questions. So the first question, which teams are leveraging Ansible automation and are they successful? We have a tool called Organizational Statistics that helps to solve this problem. With this tool, you can see automation at a team level, which is a level of granularity that is not often able to be reached with automation. You can look across the things you're automating to see which teams are running specific projects and understand which part of your organization is running the most automated jobs. Breaking down your automation data across these teams can help your organization plan for future spending with more precise data as to where resources are being used. Here's a screenshot of what organizational statistics looks like within the cloud.redhat.com dashboard when a user is logged in. The bar graph in the center shows the jobs tracked across organizations, and you can see that Insights for Ansible is delivering a daily readout of data of a few different teams who are consuming and running Ansible. At the bottom, you can see the two pie charts which show group automation usage in a more visual way. Next, we're moving on to a tool called Job Explorer, which helps to answer the question, how can I tell what's working and what's not? The goal of this tool is to give users a bird's eye view of their automation to see overall successes or failures of their automated jobs. Being able to filter through various jobs and pinpoint potential issues before they happen can help new automation projects stay up and running. With Job Explorer, you can filter your Ansible clusters in a real-time way across a variety of parameters. You can see the bar above the list that basically has the kind of funnel on the left and then the tags on the right. You can filter by job, cluster, organization, or template. And this all allows you to customize the view of Insights for Ansible so you can see the results that are important to you. You can further refine your queries to show whether jobs passed or failed, and you can also sort your jobs by status. The whole goal of the Job Explorer is to allow you to drill down to the template layer for very precise data. And as you can see in the screenshot, all of the jobs are coded as either successful or failed, and you can click in and out of the different filter types at the top to show different jobs in this list. In addition to the Job Explorer, proactive notifications can quickly give users an idea of things that may go wrong before they actually happen. These notifications can be seen in a dedicated panel to see quick takeaways and data around your automation deployments. The interface when you see these notifications is also color-coded so users can quickly identify errors, notices, or warnings across clusters. We'll see an example of this in the next slide, but first I wanted to talk about another tool. Insights for Ansible comes with a tool to help better quantify the value of automation projects being run, especially when concise benefits need to be shown to different parts of the business. the ROI or automation calculator allows you to see automation success in advance based on how much of your estate you would like to automate, as well as allows you to rank automated jobs from most to least saved in dollar amount. This really helps drive home the value of automating in saving your organization time and money. So here is the notification screen. You can see that you can sort notifications by the severity of potential issues. So it's not shown on the screen right here, but there are a few different categories which are neutral, important, and urgent. You can also toggle by a specific cluster in the drop-down menu at the top to further filter down these notifications. Finally, we are currently working on new features for Insights for Ansible that will help show how much progress you've made with your automation practice, as well as help you plan which things to take on next. Some of these features are centered around our new automation planner. The team is actively working on this feature, and we wanted to show some mock-ups that we are building this new tool off of. These mock-ups are quite close to the actual UI, but note that our designer uses a fun text generator to help us fill out some of the sections. So here you can see the list on the Savings Planner kind of root page. It gives you access to the different plans you've created and a place to add new plans. So when you either go to add or edit a new plan, you see this screen here. It gives you a few questions to answer, such as what do you want to automate, what type of automation is it, how long does it take, and how often do you do it, how many hosts you run it on, and then a field to add a description. Then you can break down your plans into tasks. So here is an orderable list of different tasks that it takes to automate this feature. Finally, you can link a template from Ansible Controller to basically show that this plan has been automated and also see how many times it has been ran. So once you've created your plan, this is like basically the detail view with the tasks and all of the other information you've created. And this all can also be viewed in the statistics tab, which basically gives you a view of your savings for that particular plan over time. This gray section of the bar chart basically is the cost of automation, and you can see year over year that's shrinking, but the savings for not having to do this task manually continues to grow. And the orange line is just a way to see those benefits in a dollar number cumulatively. And you can either see this view in a dollar amount or in terms of time or hours saved. So I just wanted to talk briefly about some of the features we have coming on our roadmap. Some of these things we are actively working on and will be out very shortly, and other things are more long-term planning. So to start on the left, we're currently finishing up a role-based access control feature that allows administrators of Insights for Ansible to control user access by allowing those administrators to add new editor and viewer roles to other users. So when this is all configured, it improves access security and does things like allow read-only views of the different tools in Insights. A lot of our customers have been asking for this because they want to give a larger group of people access to all of these tools that Insights provides. So you've already seen the automation planner screens previously. That's probably the biggest task that our engineering teams are working on currently. We're hoping to have that out in a month or two as a MVP with those screens and allow users to be able to start planning and using this tool to create data that they can then kind of decide what things are important for their organizations to automate and what things to kind of focus on first. So we have a bunch of views that have a lot of data, and we've gotten some feedback that it can be difficult to add a bunch of filters to drill that down, such as on the Job Explorer page. So we're working on a new custom filter tool that improves the user experience of this. Basically, users can take a large subset of filters and save them as a new custom filter, which can then be added in one click and removed in one click. So yeah, it's just a new way of easing the ability to access the data that is available on the various insights for Ansible tools. Um, we're working on some UX improvements and tweaks to the automation calculator and organization statistics page. We're going to be going to a new view which allows users to have more data within the pages themselves. So for example, in organization statistics, we'll have things about the organization that you can drill down to that are currently not available in Insights for Ansible. So we're pretty excited about the ability to make those tools more robust, as customers seem to really like those. One other thing that customers have been asking about is the ability to export PDFs of our various data visualizations so that they can give access to the report to people who they don't want to make log into Insights for Ansible. And so we're working with the other Insights teams to create a consistent look and feel across the entire Insights product for this PDF export feature. Finally, we're working on a few different tools with the automation planner to allow Red Hat to help customers make the best decisions for their automation journey. That includes allowing account teams to assist if it's wanted by the customer, as well as contextual recommendations of ways to improve the types of automation that customers are creating. So that's all for this presentation. Now I'm going to switch over to cloud.redhat.com to show where Insights for Ansible lives now, as well as the new dashboard.
Hey, John, we can't hear you.
You can't?
We can.
Let me refresh then.
We can hear you now.
Oh, okay, you can. Okay, sweet. All right. Yeah, so I'm going to share my screen and show some of those cloud.redhat.com features. Kyle Benson, who is the product manager for Insights for Ansible, is also here. So if you have any questions, he may be able to help as well. So yeah. Alrighty. So can you see the Cloud Console dashboard on cloud.redhat.com?
We can.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, so this is a new feature that we introduced in Summit a few weeks ago. The idea is to basically connect all of the products that are on cloud.redhat.com and provide like a single dashboard that rolls up some useful information. So at the top here, we've got counts and sort of links out into different services that you have set up based on your subscription. So we've got Red Hat Enterprise Linux and the Ansible Automation Platform on this particular one. And yeah, you can click these to kind of get to those pages. And then these bottom two sections here, the idea is to give you some contextual recommendations and some insights alerts, different ideas of what products are out there. The whole point of this is to help you get the most of your Red Hat subscription. So if there's things that you're not using yet, you can kind of learn, what you're paying for and what you can get to best, utilize Red Hat's technologies. Kyle, is there anything you want to add to this page?
No, I think I think you summarized it pretty well. I mean, fundamentally, we're trying to make it easier for folks to understand what's available and how they can get more out of the subscriptions. Just a quick comment. Someone had asked in the questions, which components are included in this, and this is you can see here. This is an account where we have multiple subscriptions and multiple offerings on the left-hand side. So you see recommendations based off of what's available. John's going to go into the Ansible automation platform components here specifically in a second, and these are all included with a subscription for the Ansible automation. Probably.
Yep. Cool. Yeah. So right over here on the left hand side is the nav, and you click Ansible automation platform, and this shoots you to the clusters page within Insights for Ansible. So this used to be the dashboard for automation analytics. Nothing's really changed with the page itself. Just the URL has slightly changed, and it's here. The idea of this page is to give you a view into the things that are being most used in your organization. So on the bottom right here, we have top modules. So these are like the Ansible modules that the playbooks that have been written have utilized that are running, that we have access to in Insights. So in this particular instance, the command module is being used a ton. And if you're familiar, command is kind of like the brute force terminal command runner. So a lot of times there are more efficient ways of using like a module specifically for something. So if this is really high, it can be useful to kind of know so that you can find out, oh, I might need to. There might be ways of gaining efficiency if I rewrite some of these playbooks, and they can run faster and with less resources and stuff like that. And then top templates. So these are templates that are connected with any of the clusters you have set up with Ansible Controller, which was formerly known as Tower. So basically you can use this to find out which teams are using, Tower the most, and then you can take this information and then kind of like see like, oh, the database team is running, this particular playbook a ton. Maybe they can help some of the other teams that aren't running quite as much, or just use that information to help kind of build out your automation. Workflows are basically just a connection of templates in like a kind of pass-fail flow chart. And so if you have some of these, you could have one team discuss with another team how you would set those up, and to kind of further your the way you're automating. And then at the top here is a chart that gives you a daily readout of the passed and failed jobs. So this can be useful because it connects all of the clusters. So if you have multiple towers in your subscription, you can gain access to that info. And then if you have like a ton of failed jobs one day, you can like click that and then kind of find out if there's like a particular tower that's down, and kind of talk with that team to get your automation up and running again. So yeah, and there's ability to change the time, and then you can like filter by particular ways to drill all of this information down to the list at the bottom as well as the chart. And so if you click this chart, it will take you to a pre-filtered view of the Job Explorer. And so the Job Explorer is it's similar to the jobs list in particular instances of Tower and Controller, but again, it rolls up all of the clusters that you have set up. So it can be really useful for someone that, like a big organization that has a ton of different clusters, to kind of have a single bird's eye view of all of the automation so that they can kind of help, make sure they're working and everything. And so, yeah, each of these has a link out to the particular instance of controller. So if you click this blue link, it will take you out there. There's also kind of further information here, yeah, we're looking at what kinds of data people want on this screen to kind of beef it up. Yeah, it's kind of a useful tool for people. And so we've got the Job Explorer, two other pages, and we didn't show any screenshots, so I just want to talk a little bit about the automation calculator. So the idea here is that you get a sorted list of the templates that are most running, and based on how much time it would take manually versus how long it takes or how expensive it is to run automated, you can see which templates kind of are saving you the most money. So this verify network template, the manual cost, if you ran it, the amount of times it's been run is over $1 million, but it's only about $700 to run it automated. So that's like a big saver for the organization. And you can sort this by, most saved or least saved. You can, change the parameters of like what you have set up for the amount, based on the time. Yeah, like I said, we're working on revamping this screen as well as the OrgStat screen to kind of change the layout and give you a bit more information. But yeah, the tool is going to be fundamentally the same. So we've got organization statistics as well, and we talked about this in the presentation, so I'll just gloss through this. You can change, the amount of time that you're looking at, and this is really nice because you can kind of see, based on different teams, which teams are running the most jobs. So again, you can kind of, learn who's leveraging Ansible effectively, and who, so that they can kind of help other teams on the org learn how they're doing things and the best practices that they've kind of figured out. Yep, and then these are just different ways of viewing that data. We've got tasks, which are basically the way that playbooks are sort of broken down, and these tasks like just a different way of viewing that, like who's running things the most. Yep, and then notification screen, we went over this a bit. So it's just a way of basically getting some information for things that may be going wrong or have went wrong, so that you can remediate them and keep your automation up and running. So that's pretty much it for me. Kyle, did you have anything on any of these screens that you wanted to talk about more?
No, I think you did a good job of summarizing them, John. Thanks. I mean, fundamentally, we're trying to provide some of these services that, as part of the additional subscription when customers purchase this. And, some people have asked some great questions in the chat so far, but, these things are things that, I should say, these apps are views into, a pretty unique setup where that most people don't have a multi-cluster view of, their jobs as well as the organization statistics. So the only thing I would say is, as John mentioned, we currently have some stuff roadmap to improve how people navigate through this stuff, how they understand it, how they can ingest it. But I don't think there's anything else I really want to drive into. You talked a little bit about Automation Planner. One of the things we're trying to help customers do is start planning for their services, what they're planning to automate, as well as start to measure that on the back end via automation calculator, right? So that's sort of the area we're trying to focus on. But I don't think there's anything specifically on each of those pages I'd like to go through, but maybe it's a good time to turn it over to questions.
Cool. Yeah, that sounds good to me. Alrighty. Yeah, let me see. Oh, thank you, Wes. Yeah, this is my office / music room, so I've got the guitars in the background. Yep. So let's see.
I think the most recent question I saw was from Bruce, and so Bruce, how do you determine cost savings per job? So actually, we highlight this on the page, and maybe I should have had you look at that before I had you turn off the screen. But it's a pretty simple formula today. We use an ROI calculator to compute that. But fundamentally, it's based off of man hours saved, right? So if you are calculating how much time it takes you as an individual or another individual on your team to perform that task, we essentially multiply that by the number of times the job template is run and the expected time it would take you to do that manually. So those are fields that we actually let you customize. So if you're trying to figure out, okay, well, this is how long it takes me as an individual to do this job manually, or another person that you've got this automation request in from, you can put that sort of understanding of that times the time available or the savings for that person. So yeah, John popped it back in. So the first is the manual cost for the template, the automation cost for the template, and then the savings are the sum of those, right? So manual cost minus automation cost, and that's based off of the number of times that job actually runs. So you can see on the right-hand side, and we're actually going to be revamping the view of this page a little bit, but for this ping test as an example, right, we see that it takes 60 minutes. We've associated a price for the manual cost as well as the automated process cost. And then we've set that based off of the number of runs that performs, right? So in that case, it was 8.
Yep. So one thing we're doing is allowing users to switch between this cost savings in terms of an hour savings. So I showed that on the savings planner, and our revamp of this automation calculator screen will have that same toggle like around here. So you can switch between dollar amount and hours.
Yeah, one of the pieces of feedback we've gotten there is that customers, fundamentally, some groups recognize the value in terms of dollar saving, and that's what they need to report up to their leadership or management. Some folks just want to have, a sort of time savings understanding because they don't recognize the dollars cost, right? So some people will say, well, we just won't do that process, right? So we want to try and make it as flexible as possible. Okay, so a couple more questions. How much Ansible automation help our system as a bank? So I think that question is how much can automation help? If your organization is based in a bank, we have lots of customers, especially in the financial services industry. The financial services industry is obviously heavily regulated. There's a lot of questions that come up when, talking about automation more broadly as a way to help enforce compliance, right? And so that's something that we fundamentally work with a lot of customers on. If there's a specific thing you're looking at in terms of like compliance or meeting regulatory requirements via Ansible, that's something we could certainly talk about, but it's probably better have with an account rep or someone that has a specific insight into what's going on with your account. But we see lots of banks and financial services teams using Ansible. In fact, that's where I spend a good bit of my time meeting with customers. So Brian, does Ansible Tower come with the base Linux subscription? So it does not. Ansible Automation Platform is the subscription that gives you access to Ansible Tower as well as to Insights, along with the other services that John briefly mentioned. So Automation Hub, as well as On-Premise Hub, which is an extension of the locally delivered software. So it would come with the Ansible Automation Platforms. And yeah, as Kumar just mentioned, yep. So if you have a valid trial today and you're looking to sort of understand what's going on with Tower or with Insights, those are available to trial users as well, so you can start to get a feel for it. And hopefully, our goal is to make the automation planner that John mentioned available to those folks as well, so that as you're going through that trial and that eval, you can start to say, well, this is what I'm planning to automate, and you can sort of track your productivity and progress as you get started with the tool. So Wayne, if Insights requires an internet connection, what data is shared with Red Hat, if any, via Insights? Yeah, so good question, Wayne. We actually have an FAQ, and I'll post that in the chat here in a moment as I attempt to find it and respond. But we essentially provide a list of the information that we collect. Today the way the deployment is set up, the way the deployment is set up, we collect information mostly on job executions, as well as a little bit of other information. We're pretty transparent about that, and for a long time, Red Hat has tried to make that easy for customers to understand what's going on, what type of data is collected, and how we discard and handle that data. So in both the transfer process as well as the storage process, both are encrypted. And we use a couple of standard processes, sort of industry standard processes, as well as specific to Red Hat to ensure that customer data is safe. I'll be sure to drop that FAQ in the chat so that folks can look at it as well to get into more specifics. If you're interested, I can send you my contact information. I'm happy to talk with you more about that further.
Yeah. So, the next one is trying to get management to buy towers. So the savings numbers should definitely help. I think one of the big, benefits of having all this data in one place is that we can kind of roll it up into different views that are useful for different types of people. So that people like CIOs or decision makers, they don't think in terms of playbooks, but they can understand like if something is taking less manpower, then it can be like useful for the business. And also people who are kind of like trying to drive Ansible into different parts of their business. So like maybe there's one team that's like really in it and like are writing tons of playbooks, and then other teams that like are trying to start but maybe don't have that expertise. People who kind of can help plan out the process of like helping each other is definitely a goal of this tool. All right, I think that's the last kind of thing in the any other things in the yes. Yeah, report stats and graphs. Yeah, that's the thing that management likes a lot, right?
Yeah, well, it's one of the things that and I suspect a lot of people on here are probably more operational users. One of the things we're trying to do here is we're trying to bridge that gap to make it easy for folks like you to report to management, right? So that might be that being able to quickly show how many stats are like what the sort of aggregate stats are on your systems, right? Today we have a couple of customers who use a pretty simple process of creating the views that they want in analytics, exporting them to an image or PDF, and then mailing them on to their leadership. One of the things we have scoped for later this year is the ability to improve that reporting process to make it easier and automated for customers. And so if there's anything specifically that that the folks here on this chat want that would make it easy to show to your management, let us know, right? Because the tool here is designed to help you make that easier, and so that we can help, again, automate that process for you so that you don't have to manually collect that information and forward it on to your leadership, right? We see, one of the things we see a lot from sort of leadership and managers is that they want to understand, things like adoption, things like, how much money or time you're saving. And you can get to some ideas around time and savings right through the automation calculator and this automation savings planner that we'll be introducing. But we also have things like, how quickly are you releasing, right? Those are metrics that people are interested in sometimes, right? Defect rates in terms of automation. And those start to come into more of sort of these, I would call them sort of DevOps style releases. Those are things that we want to help customers understand and track better. And if there's specific things you're interested in, let us know. Let's see. So Wayne, can Insights show number of collections towers hosting, public or private? So today we don't collect information on collections. That is actually coming in a new release of the Ansible automation platform a little later this year. And so we have that scope to initially start collecting some data on that. I guess what I should say is we don't today collect, if you're using Automation Hub or on-premise Hub, we don't collect directly from there. We would like to start doing that, but what more directly we'll be able to do is tell you if you're using collections through job execution and events that are sent to analytics, or to Insights, excuse me.
Yeah, I think there's some cool changes that we'll be able to make to the clusters page once we get that information, because right now, we show top modules, we show top templates. And as people use more and more of like the collections that Red Hat and the partners provide, I think it becomes valuable to see like which ones are really, useful to the organization. So yeah, we'll be able to tweak that page a little bit to add that, which I'm excited about. Cool. So it looks like sharing, or you sorry.
Thanks, Wayne. Yeah, okay. So this is actually really helpful for us, right? So in sort of how you validated that, and that's actually really beneficial to us. I might follow up with you privately, and if you'd like to talk about this more further, feel free to drop me a line. But we're always interested to hear how customers are using their own internal metrics, right? So one of the big things, again, as I said, is like, if there are metrics you commonly use, there's likely other people that we can maybe aggregate that for. Obviously, not not your metrics, right? But being able to say, like, if this is important to Wayne, it might also be important to Jose, for example, right? How can we make it easy for them to understand and sort of report on that success? Thank you.
Yeah, cool.
Awesome. Well, if there aren't any more questions, we'll go ahead and conclude the webinar. So thank you to our presenters. Thank you to everyone for joining. And we are very, very appreciative that you spent some time with us on this Wednesday. Thank you very much.
Thank y'all.